Hey there, so I am Jenny McGurvey, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my 2025 planner journey, and then we're going to plan. So I purchased a 2025 Hobonichi A5 Han, which is basically a fancy cover and for a Hobonichi cousin. I heard about I'm going to call it faulty, but it's not faulty. It's more complicated than that paper in the fall of 2024, but I didn't look into my planner because I didn't think it really mattered because I would just figure it out when it came, right? Like when the time came. I don't know if I would do that again, but it doesn't really matter, right? Okay, so long story short, my paper is very bad. And I'm going to show you a handful of examples. And when I do this, please know that I've been using a Hobonichi since 2019. I love my Hobonichi, okay? This is not a slam on Hobonichis in the slightest. It's just that they've changed the paper. Fountain pen ink that was working for me in the past is bleeding. And not only that, but ink is feathering. And also some of even like the clean color dot markers. Okay, so this is just a light blue ink you see right here. It's not anything really dark. It's not anything really light. You probably are having a hard time seeing that. But on the back side, it is heavy shadowing and then actually some bleed through as well. And again, as I said, this is a favorite ink of mine. I used it a lot last year and it's not working on this year's paper. There is an explanation for it and it makes sense to me. It just doesn't work for my purposes. So you can see through here and so on and so forth. So I decided that I needed a different planner. With that said, I went ahead and I purchased a common planner from Sterling Ink because I do really like the look of it. And it has both monthly pages and daily pages that are dated. And I love the really neutral design of it. So I was hopeful this would work. I did know some people were also having trouble with this paper, but I hoped, because I love the gold edge, you know, the whole thing, right? Like it's just so beautiful that I wanted to work. It is actually worse, if we're being honest. The paper actually works even less for me than the Hobonichi did. Now, again, here we can see the heavy shadowing and the bleeding. I think, I don't know. Again, I'm not 100% sure if this camera will pick it up and you'll be able to see it. However, it's pretty bad. And so there is a lot of what I'm going to call feathering on the ink as well, which I did not have before. Now, what I'm also going to say about this is that there is some bleed through in addition to, and again, these are just fountain pen inks. They're not super dark. They're not super, like you can see, it's brown, you know, but it's not crazy or anything like that. So just wasn't going to work for me. And not only that, there was some bleeding through the paper that then was like getting onto even a second page. So I knew pretty much immediately I was going to have to find something different. So there are lots of planners that use Tomoe River paper, which is great. I needed one that was not using this version. Okay, so I decided to purchase a Wonderland222 planner. Sorry about that. I had one of these in 2020 and I thought it was perfectly nice, but it didn't have daily pages and I really love daily pages. And so I abandoned it fairly quickly because of that. But I thought that the planner itself was very nice. So this Wonderland222 is actually using paper from the original Tomoe River paper manufacturer. And it is a 2025 dated all-in-one planner. So there are some cute stickers included. This absolutely beautiful card that is plantable, it's compostable, and it has herb seeds in it. That is so, so cool. I love that. That is amazing. All right, so I purchased the planner, the all-in-one planner, and a cover. So we'll take a look at the cover in just a minute. I don't remember what the name that I selected was for the color, something bear. I just don't remember. It's not really that important to me. It's kind of a light beige color. And it has a plastic cover. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and then we're going to take a look. I mean, maybe we are, if I can get it cut open, that is. All right, so it's got a nice smooth feel. It's a nice beige color. It's got some gold foil with the branding and then the year. The spine is plain and the back just says A5 all-in-one, which is, this is the A5 all-in-one planner. All right, so the cover is actually, that's kind of cool. It's like sort of thickish. That's really neat. Then there is a textured fly page, then a title page. There's a couple of pages. This one says key, this one says index, index, index. Okay, then there is 4 years, so 24, 25, 26, 27. Here is a yearly on one page, all of the days of each month, and then, as you can see, some plain sections. Here's quarter one, so January, February, March, and then a blank page. Same here for Q2, Q3, finally Q4. Then we have a notes page. Then we have a tracker page. So if you want to put like, okay, so this is for December 2024. Say we're going to do, I don't know, running. Then you can mark each day. Then you can do dishes. Then you can do whatever it is that you track, right? And then there's some room for some notes too. It's pretty cool, honestly. And then it appears as though there is one for each day of the month. I also forgot to say I purchased this planner. I actually purchased all 3 of these planners on my own. I was not given any of these. Okay, a notes page and an overview page. This is for the month of December 2024. Then we have a monthly page for December 2024. Then we have, oh, these are the weekly pages, sorry. Okay, gotcha. Okay, here's the monthly view for December. Then we have weekly pages for December. And they do have some times down the side, and then at the bottom they have like a little plain section, and there's also a sidebar. Okay, now here is the December review and the January overview. Then here is the January 2025 monthly, and then the weeklies, and so on and so forth. So at the end of each month, there is a spot for you to review the previous month and to have an overview of the next month. So like that was January. The next one's going to be February. So we have a January review and a February overview. It's pretty smart, honestly. So then we have all the weeks, so on and so forth. Then we get to the end of the weekly and monthly section, and you have some daily pages. Now, what I'm going to say about these is that they are not dated. There is no dated. But down here it does say daily, and they do have 1 through 24 for the hours. And there's a little section up here where you could write the dates. So like a little slash or whatever. And then it's kind of divided into 3 sections. I mean, just barely too, like it's ever so slightly darker here, here, and then here. So you can use that obviously however you would like. So yeah, then there is enough. I know for 365 days of the year, there might be a couple of extra as well for pages. So let's see, there's 576 pages. And then this starts, let's see, where are we at? $576, and we start on 201. So there is 375 of these pages. So yeah, then you get a couple of extras. I think that's outstanding. Like, I think that is absolutely awesome. So you could make some note pages, like, 10 or so note pages at the back if you wanted to, or if you need 2 days for a certain day, it's awesome. So like I said, down here it says daily. On these other ones, it has the month. So like that's November, September, and so on and so forth. So now let's do the part that I know that I am really, really, really curious about. So I'm going to use this the same way that I used my Hobonichi weeks. So in the Hobonichi weeks, I used this monthly page to keep track of so I use these to keep track of the advanced reader copy books that I'm going to read, like all of the ones that I've been approved for. And then as the month goes on, I check them off when I'm finished with them. And then, for the February monthly, I would, transfer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to use this monthly view for that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this page. So this will be my January books. So what I'm going to do is let's take a very common pen that I use, and we're going to do these. We're just going to do one because I want to see how a very common light blue ink looks on this paper. I'm already happy about this planner for having these pages. I think this is great for somebody who wants to use them as they're set up. And for me, this is great because this is a great place to put these books. Yep, that's totally the old school normal way that this used to look. Okay, so I'm so happy. Yeah, it's there. I can tell that I wrote on it, but there's no bleed through. There's no heavy shadowing. And that was definitely not the case in the Hobonichi in so many of the spots. So I am absolutely thrilled. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do right now for those. I don't need to do all of those. But it's very exciting. Okay, so now let's pull out. I bought a cover. Comes in this heavy vellum envelope. I don't know if I'll leave this on or not. I have no idea. I just figured it was worth giving it a try and seeing how I liked it. Since I was not familiar with this brand and their covers and all of that stuff. And then this will keep my cover looking nice. I will, provided that my markers don't bleed and any of that, I will add all my stickers to the cover and stuff as well, get it all ready to go and exactly how I love it. Yeah, so that fits really nicely. And then you can still see it fits and it would be nice and protected that way. Okay, so, well, we might as well dive right in and plan. I will keep you updated on the markers as I use them, but let's go ahead and plan the daily pages for the rest of this week and for next week too. Okay, let's get that started. Okay, so we're going to plan in the daily pages for a couple of days in 1 week and then most of a full week for the following week. So I'm using these stamps from Everyday Explorers to stamp the days of the week because remember, these daily pages are undated. And I intend to try a bunch of different stuff to decide how I want to handle this. What I know is that I want to keep it simple. I know that I don't want to have something that's really difficult. So, what that means is that I know that I don't want to stamp each individual aspect of the date each week. However, I also know that I don't want to use stickers because these two spots on the planner will get really lumpy and bumpy over time if I just keep using stickers in the exact same spot. And I don't want to do that either. So I'm going to just try some different things and see what I land on and what I like the most. I will link everything that is available online that I use in the description below. And this ink that I'm using, the Versa Magic, it stays a little bit wet for quite some time, which is great if you're using it for heat embossing or something like that, but I'm not. So I want it to dry much more quickly so that I don't smear it. So I'm using a heat tool to do that. And it's a really, really fast way to do that. I keep mine very close to my workstation. And so it's always just right on hand and ready to use. This ink works wonderfully in the Tomoe River paper. It even the darker colors don't bleed or anything like that. And so it makes it really a great ink to use because of that. So, and there's a wide variety of colors. All right, so I am putting washi tape on the edges of the page. I did this back in like, I don't know, 2019 maybe or 2018, something like that. And I loved it. And I came across an old planner and I was like, I should do that again because it really brought me a lot of joy. And it's a great way to use washi, right? Like most of us have a whole bunch of rolls. And so this is just a fun way to use it. So I simply place it on the edge on one side and then I fold it over. It's not always so simple. It does take a second to make sure that when you're folding it, it is like folding flush to the edge of the page. Now, if I don't want that washi on the back side, I do what I'm doing here. So I place it where I'm going to place it, and then I just simply cut the excess off. It takes a little longer than I would like, but it's basically the only way I can make it match the rest of the washi that I've already put down. So I have this date roller stamp and it's not ideal. However, because it's not ideal because I don't love, love, love the way that it looks. However, it is a really quick way to get the date on the pages without having to use individual stamps. And so that's why I am planning on using this for the month and date, if that makes sense. I don't want to use it for like I want the day of the week up there too. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do yet. So again, as I already said, I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to figure it out as I go. Now, I, of course, stamped the same date twice because why wouldn't I be distracted? But it's fine. I'm just looking for a sticker so that I can cover up the dates that I misstamped.
These two, the one on the right-hand side, I was able to just fix with a white pen because it was the 30th and the 31st. So on the 31st, I simply can just, color over part of the zero and it works fine. It's the February 1st, where I already stamped January 30th, that I needed to take care of. So that's where one of those little stickers comes in. I cover up where I already stamped and then I stamp again. And now it looks cute and intentional. All right, so these little emojis, they are sort of the bullet points for my plans, which I am happy to announce work wonderfully now on this paper in this planner. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to be back in a planner that works for me. And then also the paper is what I love because I was either going to have to continue using the Hobonichi with a Sharpie pen, or I was going to, I mean, I guess that was the only option. I'm really not sure what I would have done. I did try out fountain pens in a hemlock and oak that I have, and they did work. So I suppose maybe I would have just gone to a hemlock and oak, but I didn't really want to do that. Not because I don't love hemlock and oak. I do. It's that if I get daily pages, it's just daily pages. And I'm not saying I don't want that, but I might want weekly and monthly in a book too. I don't know. It's just complicated, right? All right, so I'm adding my stamping, and in the past, I've used a mild liner to give a little extra to the stamped images, and I've decided that maybe I don't want to do that, at least for right now. I'm not saying I won't go back to it or any of that. I'm just saying for the time being, I think I'm going to stick with just the titles, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I might pull out some sort of little box or something. I might draw lines with colored pens. Who knows? I'm not really getting that far in advance. I just want to keep it simple. Now, again, using that heat tool because it also not only dries the Versa Magic ink, which that one I made that ink pad dry out accidentally by not getting the lid on perfectly, but I really don't care. I'm going to use it anyway because it's what I had in my head that was going to match. So I'm also just going to add a handful of these bright and cheerful stickers from Cocoa Daisy. I'll link up the collection below. They're really just so vibrant, and I am over winter, so I am not using any more winter decor in my planners because I just don't really want to, or I don't want to at this moment. Again, I guess I'm not saying that I won't possibly change my mind in the future. Now, I'm also going to use some rub-on transfers. So if you're new to rub-on transfers, I want to tell you this. I have used many of them as I have been a scrapbooker for 25 years. And so I've used lots of brands. Cocoa Daisies are like butter. They rub on so beautifully. And then of course the art is gorgeous too, but the actual the material that these are made out of is amazing. Rub-ons are also basically essentially flat. They don't add any bulk. And so it means you get these beautiful designs with zero bulk, which I love on Tomoe River paper. So it's basically just like using a PET sticker or stamping where you're not adding anything additional to the pages. I absolutely love that. Like I said, especially on the Tomoe River paper, because I think that as I mentioned before, if you keep putting things in the same spot, you get some bulk in those areas, and I absolutely do not want to do that. So I'm not talking crap about stickers because I'm still using them. It's just that rub-ons are incredible. And when you get good ones that just go on to the paper like butter, it's amazing. So now I'm going back through to make sure that I've got the dates right. And I know that sounds cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but it's where I'm at. So I just want to double, triple check and I am good. So I'm going to put all of these things away because I'm going to pull out different stickers to use for the following week. Because like I said, I was only going to plan a few days in the first week and then do the following week. So I just want to get everything cleaned up and put away so then I can pull out the new stickers that I'm going to use. I'm going to go through my stash. I have a lot of stickers. I'm sure most of you do too. And I want to make sure that I'm using them, right? Like, I mean, there's so many beautiful stickers out there. Let's use them. So I'm just flipping through. I'm thinking I'm going to do a book week because, again, I have a lot of book inspired stickers. And which ones do I want to use? There are so many gorgeous ones. And yeah, that's it. I found it. I'm going to use these. And if the shop is still online, I will link it up below. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, which is why I need to look that up and link it for you. All right, so again, I'm going to stamp the dates across the top with this roller date stamp. And as a refresher, I don't necessarily love the way that it looks, but it is significantly easier. And I know myself. I have to stamp out all of the things, I just won't do it. And that will be aggravating as well. So I'm stamping all of my headings, which is a schedule, which is dinner, which is work to-dos. And then I use another heading called today, which is just like personal things that I need to get done. So for example, errands I need to run, cleaning tasks, things like that. So I don't have a stamp that specifically says what I need it to say. So that is why I'm using this one. Now, this washi tape, OMG. I got this from Stationery Pal, and I just thought it was going to be a cute little roll of washi tape. It was like $1 or something. It was really inexpensive. And when it came, I'm actually really loving it. First of all, it's more like paper tape. And I know you're thinking, yeah, washi tape is like paper. No, 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 no. It feels even more like paper, which is super cool. You could probably use a pen to write on it. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't hold me to it. And there's not a boatload of tape on the roll, which I love because here's my personal gripe with washi tape. Super cute. You get it. You're like, oh my God, I love this. You can rarely use the entire roll unless you're just using the exact same roll day after day after day after day. And I find that to be a bummer because then you accumulate all of this washi tape. And so I wish that there was like 2/3 less washi on a roll, right? This roll does that. It's like $1. There's not that much tape on it. It's awesome. It may not be $1. It might be $2. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm going to link it up below. I just really liked it, and I like the texture too. Like I said, it feels a little bit more like paper. So I thought that was very cool, and I'm really, really happy with the texture, which I didn't know when I first came because it was wrapped in plastic, as rolls of washi tape usually is. Okay, so we're doing the same thing over here. I wrapped the edges in the washi tape, and then the last one, I simply cut it in half so that it did not fold over. So the following week or the following day would just be more of the same washi tape, which I'm very, very excited about. All right, so I'm going to use these stickers. And part of how I plan these days is that I have a spot for where I put my schedule, where I put my dinner, my work to-dos, and those are all sort of like non-negotiables, right? I don't have an appointment every day. I don't have a long list of work to-dos every day. I do have dinner every day in some capacity. So I like to have these laid out in a way that makes all of them stand out. So I like the schedule at the top, front and center, because then I remember like, oh, I've got this appointment. I like the work to-dos to have quite a bit of room because some days I just have a whole bunch of small tasks I need to make sure to remember. So I like to have quite a bit of room. And I like to put my stickers around that. I'm trying to think of the way to phrase that. I mean, aside from the fact that my dog is barking, but okay, so the lower right-hand section of each day is where I put my work to-dos. That's the part where, okay, I'm not going to put stickers there, but I might put a little bit, you could see on the left page where I put that book next to dinner, like, yeah, there's probably enough room there. So that's how I sort of arrange my stickers to make sure to know like what day of the week it is. So for example, Saturday and Sunday, it's okay if I put a big sticker in the work section because yeah, I might film something, I might do a voiceover, I might do some photos, something like that, but I don't need a ton of room. Now I need to go through because I'm going to pull out some fountain pen ink and I need to pull out my swatches because I'm going to clean out this particular fountain pen. I am a beginner with fountain pens and I am okay with that. I like being a beginner. I do things a certain way because it works for me, and I know that everybody has different feelings about that. So I just put the ink that was in this pen back in the bottle that it came from. I know some people are not a fan of that cross-contamination and all of that, but I know what bottle it came out of, and I'm cool with it. Then I rinse the converter and the nib with water until it's clear. And then now I'm going to put some ink in here from a sample vial. And I'm only putting, honestly, a little tiny bit of ink in there because I know I'm only writing a handful of things with this particular green because I like to use one color for the appointments, and then I like to use one color for all my lists. So my to-do lists and dinners and things like that. So I only need a little bit of this green, which by the way is a really interesting green and it very well matches the stickers too. I'm pretty impressed. So I'm going to use the emojis for the bullet points to make my appointments stand out. And then I will write those down right here. And then I do like to use the heat tool to dry some of this fountain pen ink because these are a broad nib. It puts a lot of ink on the paper, so it can take a minute to dry. And the heat tool just speeds up the process. I could absolutely use the blotting paper. It just changes the way that the ink looks because you're removing some of the excess ink versus letting it dry. So sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Now I'm going to go through and look at my swatches of VersaFine inks. I have not gotten this done yet in my ink swatches, but I'm going to find the color that I want to use to stamp the cutlery to be sort of the bullet point for dinners. That was kind of a lot. And it's really not that big of a deal, but I just like to use a coordinating color down there. And so that's how I selected this one. So I will wipe off the previous ink that was on here. It was that dark blue that we talked about last week that I had sort of let dry out a little bit. Do you remember that? And then now I'm going to ink these up right down below, and I'll use the heat tool, especially because this one is a lot juicier than it was, the previous one was. And then I'm going to ink those little cutleries down there, fork and the knife, and then I will write my dinners right through there. So I'm thrilled to be back on a planner where I can do my favorite things and for the most part, right? I mean, it would be better if these dates were dated, but because they're not, I have to make do. That was less important, I guess, at this moment than the pens I was able to use. I suppose that could change in a few months. You never know. All right, so I'm just going to use these brush pens and write the days of the week across the top because I do like to have it say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It helps me. And that's it. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment box below and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thank you so much and make it a great day.